Begin. Hello, hello. Ooh, let's try this. Hello, everybody. I hope you can all hear me. I think we're going to be starting the session now. So I just want to thank everyone for coming. Dear Excellencies, Your Excellency Razan, Your Excellency Dr. Nawal, Dr. Sheikha, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests and colleagues, thank you so much for coming to this milestone event here in the Panda Pavilion, titled UAE Alliance for Climate Action, 1 Year of Impact. My name is Nicky Villani. I'm the project lead for the UAE Alliance for Climate Action, or UACA as we call it, and I'm very grateful to be your host for the next hour. UACA is convened by Emirates Nature in association with WWF as its flagship climate project. Emirates Nature has been around for over 20 years, championing the UAE's sustainability agenda across food, agroecology, circular economy, nature, blue carbon, citizen science, youth, and of course, climate. Net zero has become an important signifier for the UAE from an economic and business lens. The team at Emirates Nature WWF identified a great opportunity to accelerate decarbonization in the UAE by aligning to our key values as Emirates Nature and WWF. And this is how UACA was born. Of course, with excellent guidance of our global network, the Alliances for Climate Action, we've been able to create, develop, and nurture the structure and approach for UACA to ensure its success. Next slide, please. We have an action-packed agenda today, but firstly, I would like to welcome to the stage someone who needs no introduction, Your Excellency Razan Al Mubarak, the United Nations Climate Change High-Level Champion for COP28, President of the International Union for the Conservation of Nature, and last but not least, the Chair of UACA's Advisory Committee. Ladies and gentlemen, Her Excellency Razan.
Hello. I was told you speak perfect Mandarin. How's your Arabic?
It's getting there.
Good. Excellent. Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen. My co-women champions, Dr. Nawal, Layla, Dr. Sheikha, all of you here today, welcome. Emirates Nature has an incredible place in my heart. Not only is it was my first station from a kind of career perspective, but seeing what Layla has done to really, there's a saying, an American saying, and I'm going to do such a bad job, but when you out of the park, she really batted the ball out of the park. We have incredible partners with us today, and the organization is really going from strength to strength with incredible partners like the Environment Agency, who has provided not only financial support from a capacity building perspective, but really aligning the goals of the government to what civil society can actually bring to the table. So I am delighted as chair of UACA in the UAE to celebrate our first anniversary. We recognize all of our members' vital role in driving non-state actors towards a net zero future. The challenge is daunting. We need to pretty much halve emissions in 7 years. But not only do we need to halve emissions, we also need to stop the degradation of nature, the biodiversity that really hold the key to our success or failure in achieving the goals of Paris. And as the UN High-Level Champion for COP28, I am advocating continuously alongside the previous champions the importance of the collaboration between parties and non-state actors, and to really facilitate the discussion, the dialogue to enhance ambition, to unlock roadblocks, to ensure that we understand what are the types of policies that need to be put in place, the types of incentives, and of course, the types of regulation. And our duty, of course, extends beyond our individual's leadership role within our own institutions. We are also caretakers of our planet. And we must relentlessly strive for a fair and a resilient and a carbon neutral future, and remind ourselves who we're doing this all for. It's the kids that we've left at home before we came to this conference. We must leave a world that is better, that is more fair for our children. It is our responsibility. So there's a number of incredible alliances. And again, as my role as high-level champion, what we try to do is to align, is to build momentum, is to ensure that we are not reinventing the wheel. And we do this through a number of initiatives, including the Marrakesh partnership, our campaigns, our Race to Zero campaigns, our Race to Resilience, as well as our 2030 breakthroughs. Now, some of you are looking at me the same way I looked at my team when they were talking to me about the Marrakesh partnership and the 2030 breakthroughs. There's a lot of lingos out there and a lot of slogans, but I assure you that we are collectively working to align and to make sure that all of our efforts will lead into something that is much bigger than the sum of our parts. So thank you. And so I am incredibly proud and incredibly privileged, like I said, just a year into this partnership, to announce that we have over 50 diverse members committed to a net zero emission, including an incredible collaboration with the UAE's Ministry of Climate Change and Environment. And we only got started. So we are looking to ensure that we continue to build momentum, we continue to bring corporates, civil society, institutions on board, and we will assure you that we will do this in a way that not only do we build capacity, we build dialogue, and we ensure that our progress is measured, because ultimately our integrity is on the line. And I assure you that with our partners, with Emirates Nature, we will continue to do so and be your partners in doing so. Thank you very much, Leila.
A big thank you to Your Excellency for your inspiring words. We're incredibly motivated by you, your actions, and your leadership. We know how busy you are, and we are grateful to you for coming to this important event. I would now like to welcome to the stage Her Excellency Dr. Nawal Al-Husseini from the Ministry of Climate Change and Environment, Acting Assistant Undersecretary for Green Development and Climate, as well as the permanent representative of the UAE to the International Renewable Energy Agency.
Hello, everybody. It's very, very difficult to come after Her Excellency Razan. You know, it's extremely big shoes to fill, but it is an absolute honor to stand here and present the Ministry of Climate Change and Environment and share our enthusiasm on this amazing and remarkable achievement. And also, sorry, just lost my notes. It is an absolute honor to be here, and I cannot agree more with Razan. You've done an amazing job, Leila. So thank you very much for the leadership. We gather here at COP28 and witness this progress that's made by the non-state actors in the UAE. And as a representative, or as I represent the Ministry of Climate Change, we're so proud to be endorsing such an amazing project and highlight the crucial role that it does play in advancing our nation's climate ambition. The significance of OACA within the UAE's domestic context cannot be overstated. This alliance has become a catalyst for change, uniting diverse organizations and sectors in our shared commitment to the net zero future. By mobilizing this broad spectrum of stakeholders, OACA's ambitions firmly align with our national objectives outlined in the Net Zero Strategic Initiative 2050. One of the main contribution of OACA is the support for organizations in measuring emissions, setting this interim and net zero targets and implementing those decarbonization measures. This collaborative effort resonates deeply within our ministry's vision as it reinforces the essential pillars of accountability, transparency, and most importantly, collaboration. The Alliance role as the implementing partner of the ministry's UAE Climate Responsible Sustainable Companies Pledge is commendable, of which there are now 131 companies signed up. We are now encouraging organizations to set targets and develop transition plans, which is a crucial step towards realizing meaningful change. To support this, we have set up the National Dialogue for Climate Ambition, which facilitates dialogues involving public, private entities, and is pivotal to strengthening the relationship between various sectors and fostering a climate-responsible business environment. In this pursuit of a sustainable future, the ministry recognizes the importance of mobilizing the entire society. This commitment of working across the ecosystem, bringing together public and private entities, is exemplary. Such collaboration enhances our collective ability to address a challenge posed by climate change effectively. The UAE pursues to highlight the climate ambition with the release of the third updated second NDC and Net Zero 2050 strategy. Our strategy details pathways that cover the entire UAE economy, including power and water generation, industry, transport, buildings, waste, and very important, agriculture. The key decarbonization measures will be supported by enactment of the new policies and regulation, and in addition to 25 plus national, emirate, and company level programs currently already in progress. Similarly, the UAE had issued the fifth national communication very recently, I think like 2 days ago, and we'll share more in the effort to the nation climate mitigation and adaptation with the UAE first long-term low emission strategy and national adaptation plan being developed. As we navigate this complex, as Her Excellency mentioned, landscape of decarbonization, alliances like OACA play a very important role in convening climate pioneers at the domestic level. This is not only drives progress, but also serves as a beacon of inspiration for others to follow suit. We are optimistic that the Alliance journey showcased here at COP28 will motivate decision makers to embrace their climate ambitions even further with confidence and conviction. I extend our sincere appreciation to OACA for its dedication and the strides made in advancing the UAE climate action journey. And we are so proudly as we sit on the advisory committee, the Ministry of Climate Change and Environment stands firmly behind such initiatives that contributes to our collective mission of building a sustainable and resilient future. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for your keynote. And we are very lucky to have the endorsement of the Ministry of Climate Change and Environment as the implementing partner to their Net Zero Strategic Initiative 2050. I would now like to welcome to the stage Leila Mustafa Abdulatif, our excellent Director General, who's been dedicated to Emirates Nature for over 13 years and also serves as the chair of WWF's Asia Pacific 25, also known as AP25. Please welcome our Director General, Leila Mustafa Abdulatif.
Thank you, Nikki. 13 years, yes. It gives me a realization that I really am starting to get old. Welcome, everybody, and thank you all for being here today. Thank you, Your Excellency Razan, and all of you for Dr. Nawal, all of you for joining us today. I can see a full house at the back of the room, and we really appreciate it. It's a very special day for us because we launched exactly 1 year ago at the WWF Panda House, all the way in COP27 in Sharm, and here we are again at our little WWF Panda House again, so I'm super excited. Today is really about a celebration. It's about celebrating our 1 year of progress and momentum that UACA members have all really pushed forward to try and achieve Paris-aligned targets, greater collaboration around decarbonization. And so today we will be focusing on a panel discussion which really goes into all of that progress that has been achieved over the last year. As you're profoundly aware, the first global stocktake has confirmed that the world is far off course to achieving net zero targets, and current pledges are putting us at a 2.5 to 2.9 degree world. And so initiatives like these, alliances like these, are crucial for us to ensure that all members of society, subnational governments, non-state actors, our academia, our businesses, private sector, NGOs, civil society are collectively involved in trying to achieve the net zero targets that we collectively put together as a country. Now, while local decarbonization efforts have expanded in scale and scope, we know from our work on the ground that challenges do continue to be encountered, and this is truly the North Star of UACA. The purpose of UACA is to convene non-state actors to synergize, to really collaborate and be more ambitious in their net zero journey, and really work with those organizations, no matter where they're at in their journey, to try and provide those essential tools, visibility, capacity building, and knowledge sharing. We believe that there is definitely a strength in having a one collective voice, especially with regards to supporting real change on the ground and real policy change on the ground where needed as well, as long as that's backed by strong evidence. And you'll hear later on today that we've tried to put in place some strong accountability tools to make sure that we're monitoring that along the way. Convened by Emirates Nature WWF and with funding from HSBC Minat, David here sitting in the front row, thank you very much. UACA has been created in collaboration with the Global Alliance for Climate Action, coordinated by WWF International, with Carbon Disclosure Project, and with the C40 Cities Climate Leadership Group, and it's endorsed by the UAE Ministry of Climate Change and Environment. And it really is the first of its kind alliance for non-state actors in the MENA region, and it's one of the 14 global alliances for climate action around the world, dedicated to driving real ambition on the ground, engaging both local governments, but also non-state actors through a bottom-up approach. As Her Excellency Razan mentioned, we are now at 50 members. We started just with 5. And so we're extremely proud to be here, not just with a quantity of members, but those organizations that are really striving to make a difference, signing up to real commitments on the ground. Over the months, members have made major progress and specifically focused on action planning, capacity building, and growth, leading to the organization of webinars and workshops that we have conducted over the last year, focused very much on the greenhouse gas protocol, distributed solar generation, Scope 3 emissions, change management. And alongside that, our members have also been super transparent in sharing member case studies to increase that information exchange. But what I'd also like to highlight today is the launch of 2 new, very exciting digital tools, which have really been spearheaded through our internal team, with Nikki driving that change and with the support of our partners. The first tool is the e-emission by UACA, which some of you are already familiar with. E-emission is a digital platform that supports organizations in measuring and calculating their greenhouse gas emissions up to 2030. And this is not only aligned with the greenhouse gas protocol, we've also factored in local emission factors to allow organizations to truly understand the breakdown of Scope 1, Scope 2, and Scope 3 emissions by 2030. And we're also developing a target setting function within the same platform this year, aligned to the Science Based Targets Initiative. And this is also a major step for organizations to commit and validate their targets to SBTI moving forward. The second platform, and this is something we're super excited about, is a platform that will be monumental in really demonstrating progress of organizations within the UAE, specifically non-state actors, as this tool offers recognition to UACA members for their commitment, their due diligence, and their perseverance in doing right by the future of the planet. So it includes a number of different key metrics required for the public to understand where an organization is at in their particular journey. So it gives me great pride to officially launch today UACA's climate dashboard called On Track 2.0, an innovative public platform designed to illustrate the progress of UAE organizations. Last but not least, with a strong record in year one, we're very optimistic about what will happen in year two, and we're getting ourselves geared up to be SBTI ready. We thank you again, all of you in the room here today, for being super committed and joining us along with this journey, and we look forward to continuing the momentum. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Leila. We really hope this dashboard will serve as a first-of-its-kind initiative to drive accountability and transparency in the UAE, which, as you all know, is a key theme that we've been seeing in COP28 and beyond. As you saw, UACA really is about taking action and demonstrating impact. UACA really is an amalgamation of all of our members, and we aim to really be member-driven. And we wanted to approach this session by allowing our members to showcase the impact that they have been able to make since being part of UACA and also their own net zero journeys. I would now like to begin the panel discussion and welcome to the stage David Ramos, Head of Sustainability at HSB MENAT. Ricardo Borsard, Director of WWF Chile and the convener of the Global Alliances for Climate Action. Julia Angelica Carlo, Head of Sustainability at the American University of Sharjah. James Craven, Middle East President at Live Nation. And last but not least, Salwa Al-Maflahi, Director of Sustainability and Outreach at Aldar Properties.
Yes, it works. Thank you everyone for being here. It's great to see a full room. And thank you for being here for my fellow panelists. I'm sure you all want to hear more of them than of me, but I guess I bought my way into the moderator role into this program. What I'm amazed about, I'm actually passionate. Before I was in my current role, I was actually the program manager for the UACA, and I was part of the inception. And this comes actually as a part of, as a second phase of another program that we did before. That was called Target Climate. And what we decided, HSBC and Emirates Nature as a team, because we are all one big team with so many years working together, we decided that we wanted to do something bigger with a higher, like a much outreach, a bigger scope, and we wanted to make together a program that could transform the UAE economy and could actually drive the decarbonization forward. So I think this is the only way we can do that is through collaboration, and that's what UACA is an excellent program, because it's about sharing experiences, about collaborating, obviously about driving climate action across all the members. Many organizations have just started the journey, many organizations are really advanced in their journey, but UACA actually is useful for everybody, and I've seen it on every conversation that I go when I attend the meetings. It's really a fantastic initiative. So I'm gonna, as I said, I'm not gonna speak much, but Julia, I would like to come back to you first. Obviously, you work in a university, so how has your role been shaped in building sustainability across the student body, but also the faculty, the community, and how do you think UACA has actually empowered you, the organization, to build capacity for addressing sustainability in the American University of Sharjah?
Thank you, David. Thanks for letting me go first. So as a university, obviously what we focus on first is education because that's what we know best and it's the easiest for us. So our goal is really to establish a certain level of climate literacy with all our stakeholders. And that's not just students, as you mentioned, it's also the educators, it's also the wider community, high school students, our alumni network, and really make sure everybody understands how their chosen discipline of major can contribute to climate change mitigation. And obviously research is just as important. This is where the partnership with the private sector, I think, is very beneficial. But this role of being an educator and a research leader, we can only be credible at if we also demonstrate our own climate action. And this is where we really have benefited from UACA a lot, because we have committed to net zero by 2050 in line with the UAE. But we now need to break this down into near and medium-term targets and actionable initiatives. And it's great to face these challenges together in a community and also come up with solutions together. And like we said before, it's a daunting task, but we can do it together.
Yeah, I totally agree. I've been working in sustainability 18 years now. The white hair and the beard probably reveals that. But yeah, it's actually amazing how you talk to different companies and at the end the problems are the same. Obviously the solutions vary a little bit depending on the sector, but that sense of community, of knowing that others are facing the same issues and you can share your problems and as a community you can come up with solutions is great. Salwa, I would like to go back to you now. Obviously, Aldar is a leader in sustainability. A lot of effort and work has been into it in Abu Dhabi, now in Dubai as well, so expanding the sustainability outreach as well. Can you take me through where you are in your decarbonization journey and elaborate a bit on the challenges that you face as a big construction company, particularly in Scope 3 emissions, that I guess is a challenge for you as well?
Yeah. Thank you. I want to say first, Adar, as a real estate developer and an asset manager, they play a key role in the sustainability journey for us as a country. And sustainability has been since the inception in the DNA of the organization. But obviously you have to take that seriously as informing a proper department, governance for it. That's what we've done earlier in the years and invested in our people, upskilling our employees, raising up the knowledge, providing the right tools and resources for them. And since then, we've had a lot of key milestones that we're very proud of that varies from social to environmental. But when it comes to specifically decarbonization, earlier this year, we've launched a net zero action plan that what's unique about it, that it considers the full life cycle of the value chain of real estate. So the levers that explains how do we get there includes low carbon design, because everything we build now will stay with us for the next 50 years. So it's important to tackle that at a very early stage. And low carbon supply chain and materials. And I'll talk about that in Scope 3, the challenges that you asked me about. Green construction, so all the practices that we do at our sites. We've invested a lot in terms of solutions that tackles water efficiency, treating wastewater too. And then the resource efficiency, so all the building efficiency of the existing portfolio, because we're not just a developer. We're an asset manager with a huge portfolio that has schools, residential communities, malls, hotels. So how do you manage those assets at the best efficiency? Because they were not built with sustainability in mind necessarily. So key thing to do there, and what we've been doing, is retrofitting. That proved that it's not just environmentally gives you a great success in terms of energy reduction and reduction in emissions, but also commercially, it has been one of the best investments we've done. With great return of investments, great reduction in our bills on yearly basis. So those different levers in our net zero action plan clearly states how are we going to get there, who do we need to work with in terms of regulators that we have here in the room. We work closely with them to update the policies that we have here and give our input as a sector to enable, accelerate the decarbonization for the sector. And obviously this is only on decarbonization, but then you asked me about the challenges in scope 3 that made a huge impact on us as a real estate developer. Almost 80% of our emissions in our net zero plan comes from scope 3, and that's a mix of the embodied emissions, so everything we build, into tenant emissions. So the malls that we own, the retailers that we have, which we don't necessarily control, but they impact our targets. And we have, we're responsible to work with them, to guide them, incentivize them, and invest with them too, to accelerate their decarbonization journey that impacts our journey. And we had a lot of programs that we've been working on. I'll give a couple of examples. The first one is at the early this year, we launched a supply chain engagement program. We launched it in collaboration with the Ministry of Climate Change, where we invited at different phases, suppliers, contractors, consultants, designers on our supply chain, asking them to work on and announce their decarbonization targets before COP, and that was earlier in January. And it was a great engagement because we realized that many of them did not have any plans yet, but they're keen to work on one. Some actually has targets and plans in place. So from there, we took it to the next level, and that is to create series to work with them on taking them and implementing the first steps. So them understanding their baseline, their carbon emissions data, which is critical. And the series are going on. It's going to be a continuous collaboration and engagement with them that is very necessary to enable us to achieve our targets. The second example I want to give is our engagement plan with the tenants. So all the tenants that we have in the malls, the retailers. And the great thing is that I think with COP and with the move that we're seeing globally, all of them are also on the same track. So they're ready to work with us as a developer, them as retailers, to work together on setting targets and measures in place, whether it's a new development or existing portfolios. So we created what we call green leases that has criteria in place where we go and do free audits and we can offer them investments to retrofit their spaces and green practices that will eventually reduce their emissions and impact the decarbonization journey of Eldar and them if they had one too. So I'm not sure if you also heard the news. There are some retail coalition that has been announced during COP, some led by COP, some led by specific retailers. So the momentum is there. It's about collaboration that needs to happen between the different stakeholders.
I think we need to put a very long document with all the announcements that has happened and review them and with some time to really let them sink in. But it's a great example, thank you, Salwa, because at the end, it's all about collaboration. We cannot decarbonize our Scope 3, obviously, without collaborating with our supply chains, with our clients even. So it's fantastic to hear that you're doing that already. James, Live Nation. How?
Live Nation.
Live Nation, sorry. Live Nation efforts are, from my understanding, very geared towards addressing Scope 3 emissions. Obviously, you are in a very challenging sector because, you just come in, do something, and then leave, and things need to be as they were before. But how do you think the efforts of these live events that Emirates Nature is and UACA is actually supporting you on those efforts to bring that global strategy to a local and regional activity?
Well, David, thank you. Firstly, we're a new UACA member and very proud to be so. And as a business, we've been guided globally by our own business strategy. And we have a program called the Green Nation Touring Program, which has been very focused on emissions, waste reduction, and the decarbonization of venue, energy, and transportation. And really, we've been focused primarily on the carbon footprint of live events, because that's actually what our business does. So the majority of the emissions, not surprisingly, come from the show itself, which is the venue, artist travel, fan travel, vendors, supply chain, and obviously a large amount of F&B consumption too. So we partnered with with Emirates Nature, WWF, to really accelerate the transition of the live events industry. And our aim was very simple, really, was to introduce behavioral change and sustainable practices through our business, and most importantly, through our suppliers and vendors too. So I think it was May last year, we kicked off a very exciting project, which was a baselining project at the Maroon 5 concert at the Etihad Arena in Abu Dhabi. And that really was a project for us to identify emission sources and identify where those culprits are coming from. WWF created a calculator to estimate the carbon footprint for that particular event. And that was really our first major kickoff event. It was very exciting. The results were fascinating. We won't go into all of those now, but what we did learn is fan travel is a huge part of that. But it did help us understand the different processes and activities that enable a concert and to identify the activities that lead to high emissions, which is a real priority for us. And then ultimately recognize the gaps in data and stakeholder engagement. So with that in mind, our initial approach was for us to focus on the elements that are within our control, and then our partnership with Emirates Nature to engage with the third parties, which is a key part of our business. So that really is the artist, it's the venues, it's the suppliers, and of course, most importantly in our business, the fans that come to see our shows. And obviously, changing habits within that is difficult because we don't have operational control over all of those parties. However, we have used our influence to address those emissions, and we are determined to deliver lower impact on our events in the region, and ultimately to create a blueprint for the region's live event industry. So I made a couple of notes. We've seen some real change and impacts on Scope 3 emissions, and what we have seen is that artists are now including sustainability in their touring considerations, and that's a big step forward. We've seen the venues doubling down on energy efficiency and waste reduction strategies. And we've even encouraged some behavioral change by the introduction of the bus services between the cities and our venues. Something I was surprised, but has become more and more popular as we move forward. And more recently, we've also introduced electric transportation for all of our artists coming through the region. So that's the key movement for us. And as we move forward, we're going to focus on that data collection, building our capacity, which I've learned is a key part of it, and influencing our value chain.
That's great. You touch into materiality, things that, well, how important are things for you, and then like what actually you can influence, so the area of influence that you can cover with your actions, which I think is great. So it's good to say. I think it was Maroon 5, no, that published their first ESG report.
That's right. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Correct.
So it's driving forward. I'll move now into kind of a second part. How are we doing on time? Yes, a second part of the program a little bit, more focusing on collaborative action on these questions. And obviously, we've been talking all the time about collaboration and that we cannot do this without collaborating. We are facing a huge global issue, and unless we all get together, not just in a room talking, but also really delivering change and actioning things, we are not going to achieve our objectives as a global community. Businesses across sectors, different type, different size, they need to collaborate, they need to share experiences. And we have a tendency maybe to go back to regulators and policymakers and tell them, oh, but we need to have regulations, we need to ask the government to change things because otherwise change won't come. But it's true that unless every single actor of the society gets involved, private sector and all the non-state actors, they are actually working together, we are not going to achieve emission reduction targets. Ricardo, sorry to keep you waiting. You are much more connected to the world of the ACAs at the global level, WWF. Can you share some of the insights of the role of intra-alliance collaboration and also those opportunities you can see among different alliances to collaborate with each other and share experiences, again, collaborating? What strengths do you think this UACA specifically here can bring to other ACAs at the global level?
Thank you. It's a good question. I would start that collaboration is not easy. It's super difficult. And then that's why, I mean, UACA didn't start 1 year ago. It started with a conversation, the conversation, Nadia, Laila, and Marina, an explanation what is the UAE, what are the different particularities. I said, look, every country has their own. And so when we were shaping the program, we have to understand where the UAE ACA will develop and try to merge it with certain rules that global ACAs have, which is our role. And we are here, Philippines, we're having the same conversation, and any other, country that wants to have an ACA, that is the first conversation to have. So how can collaboration work? And I think we can say it was successful because, in this first year, you're already launching 2 tools that I'm sure tomorrow we're going to meet all the ACAs that are working to really discuss, how we copy from each other, how we use the tools, and I hope we can copy, but how, if somebody solves it, we all have to use it. So again, collaboration is hard, and it's easy to sign. I always say, I like innovation a lot. I'm all the innovation clubs in the LOF, and I said, look, innovation is hard because everybody wants to come at the first picture when you launch it, and at the last picture when you produce the results. But there is a vacuum of time, 1 or 2 years, that is boring, hardworking, over and over, that lands on the hands of Nikis and similar, that has to maintain this alive. And that is ACA. And the excitement at the beginning, it's like a relationship. But at the end, in the middle, you have to work because, at least that's what I saw in all ACAs around the world. The private sector doesn't speak the same language as AWF or the science or the ministry, because realities come, especially finance sector. I always say we need translators because we speak a different language, and that's the only way we can collaborate. So your question is how it compares the UAE ACA with others. Now full power, as every new ACA bringing this, the tennis world club. When they retire, there is the tennis for masters or seniors. The young pushes the whole team, and the olders, cannot keep up, but it brings new energy. So now I see all this energy we support, and you're bringing new energy to the team, but I'm sure, energy goes a bit down, the UAE ACA, the COP will leave the country as it left Chile, and then people start to relax. But it's on you. It's on every member to really bring it up. And it's not as much as you. We are having a wonderful conversation with James, how it's important to land in every company. But the idea of the ACA is to solve the problems that HSBC cannot solve alone, that the university cannot solve alone, that your company or the municipality is about finding the difficult problem. That's why we're failing in the planet. That's why we're not within the 1.5 target, not because people are bad, it's difficult, the transition. It's difficult that people change. It's difficult, we were speaking about 10 cars, it's not easy. And that's why the unity of you here in the UAE to really have honest conversation that, a business can say, I cannot make it. How can I solve it? And in this group, cooperation, co-creation is the solution. We probably, non-state actor, will have more power in influencing NDCs. That is coming. But at the end, the landing all of this has to be made in the countries. And the central government has lot of power, but it has limited power. And that's where I think the ACAs have the power to land this quickly, because we need to go into action.
Excellent response. You could summarize this like UACA is the best I've seen, and everybody.
Now I see full power. Bravo.
James. No, it's great to see that obviously, I think there is probably more opportunity to collaborate. Maybe you guys are more exposed, the program team that are actually managing the program. I just sit on the side, but maybe you do collaborate more actively with other ACAs, but I think we can learn and share more experiences and maybe do a global virtual meeting of all the ACAs so we can share. Tomorrow. Ah, right, yes. Exactly, you see, you deliver. Right, yeah, I did get the invite for that one. Anyway, James, I'm coming back to you again because Salva already touched a little bit on collaborating in supply chain. I guess your supply chain is very different because obviously it might change. You might have some suppliers that are the same every single time, but it could also change depending on you run the events. So I would assume that it's difficult to engage with your suppliers. So that collaboration with them, how does it work? How do you manage to do it? Any examples you can tell us?
Yeah, we've done a lot of work on this, and most of our emissions are coming from downstream supply chain. So it's very important we engage with artists, fans, suppliers to really allow them to understand their role in decarbonizing the live event sector. And then we can help inform them that allows them to make better choices. And they can make choices around transportation. We talked about that earlier, getting more electric vehicles, greener hotels, prioritizing commercial flights over private, and basically how we all work together to lower Scope 3 emissions. Now, one of the ways we advanced that discussion or that collaboration was in conjunction with Emirates Nature, WWF, and we held a stakeholder workshop. And that was really rewarding exercise, and it brought together our vendors and suppliers to learn and collaborate together and help identify issues within our supply chain, and also ultimately to come up with solutions. That was a hugely successful event, and we brought in suppliers from throughout the industry. Turnout was excellent, and I think we need to do another one very soon. It was hugely beneficial and helped us sort of map out our future and how we work with the supply chain. Following on from that workshop and also our Maroon 5 baseline study, Emirates Nature WWF also set out some recommendations and actions for us, and they had 33 recommendations and 116 actions. So we have quite a lot of work to do. Now, we divided many of those actions across our business because the key for me is really to engage as many people in my organization as possible. So those actions laid across marketing, events, talent, every part of our finance even were given a role. So we really did engage every part of our business to ensure that collaboration flows through our business. And during that whole baselining project, we began to see some real changes that were integrated into the way we do our shows. And it might be simple. We switched to electric cars for ground transportation. It may seem small, but to us it was a huge step. We even replaced the plastic bottles that usually sit next to the drummer to reusable bottles. Again, small, but significant in our business. We also managed to work with Etihad Airways to introduce the A350 on a controlled approach for the crew flying in to lower carbon emissions. So again, all of those steps make a difference, and that is collaboration. That is working with all of those suppliers across our business. As we move forward into this year, we've done a number of new shows and events, primarily at the Etihad Arena in Abu Dhabi, and some of those interventions have rolled out further, and I made a small list. So we finally have a policy now to remove all single-use plastics from back of house. We haven't tackled front of house yet, but that's something we'll get to. We've also put sustainability requirements in the offer sheets we send out to the artists. So whenever we make an offer for an artist to perform, we now highlight why we're making some of those changes, so they actually understand the changes for them. All plastic straws and plastic lids have been removed from Etihad Arena, which is a huge step for us. We've also implemented messaging to all of our fans across all the screens in the arena and the venue, so fans understand what we're trying to achieve and how they can help our progress. The other one I mentioned earlier was bus shuttles. Some of my team were skeptical, but actually I've seen those buses go from 60 people to 90 to 200. To the last show we did, over 300 people came by bus, which again is a significant step forward. We also are sending out surveys to all our fans after the shows to understand their transport, how they got there, so we can make sure that data is as accurate as possible. You know, clearly our journey is just at the beginning, but our partnership with Emirates Nature and WWF has been enormously helpful to us and really fast-tracked our progress, and we really look forward to the next phase in that development.
That's impressive. I haven't been to Etihad Arena yet,
You're very welcome.
But now I have to go out and try all of that and see it with my own eyes. That's amazing. Julia, can I come back to you again? I kept you waiting for a little bit. How about collaboration and higher education institutions and at a local level, potentially even international level? I guess universities also get together and share information at some point. How do you see the role of UACA in actually advancing the whole university sector as a whole?
Yeah, so for me, I think this collaboration for higher education institutions is twofold. On the one hand, we want to collaborate with other higher education institutions here in the UAE and work together on campus decarbonization. And I'm happy to report that we have made progress. I had just had a panel earlier today with 2 member universities working together on campus decarbonization. And on the other hand, we want to work across the sector with the private sector. So how do we build capacities for the private sector at the university, right? How do we build a workforce that's ready to tackle these challenges? How do we drive innovation and research that meets the market needs? And bringing this all together, we were the first university to join UACA, and I'm really happy to see there's more universities following. We really hope to inspire by action. And Nikki and I have been working on a case study detailing our challenges faced in doing our greenhouse gas emissions reporting. And that's a good thing about being a university. We're happy to share all the data publicly on our website and really hope that other institutions, not just in higher education, can learn from our experiences and learn how we overcame these challenges. Because it really starts with simple things like, where do we get the data for our greenhouse gas emissions reporting? How do we make sure we have an accurate picture of our emissions so we actually understand what we're trying to achieve and how we can reduce our emissions meaningfully?
And I guess you would also have a pool of students that are willing and happy to help you calculate things. And
yes, but you'd be surprised. The students are very busy.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, yeah, it's been a long time that I don't study, but I remember those times. I like more working than studying, I have to say. Let me move to a bit of transparency. We have 8 minutes left. I would like to touch on the importance of transparency. Obviously, reporting, accountability, transparency, it's growing in importance across the world. Salwa, can I come to you again? And how would you highlight the challenges and opportunities faced by ALDAR in terms of transparency and accountability and the scope of the sustainability strategy for net zero that you just launched, setting targets, all of that? In a couple of minutes, they told me I have only 5, actually, if you don't mind.
I think, in short, data is the backbone of anything of your decarbonization journey. It's very important to have accurate, reliable data, but at the same time, it's very challenging and very tough to reach there. And that's why we've seen UACA focusing on providing those tools to capture this data. We've been investing heavily in it. It was not an easy journey. And we continuously update data and baseline because of the expansion and the new acquisitions that we have. And it's scope 3, so all the contractors, the consultants. So we have hundreds of data input that we need to chase for our decarbonization journey. So it's very important that you have the right system in place. So thank you, UACA, for bringing that tool, especially for the ones that are starting their journey. It's very important to upskill your teams, to have the right and invest in your resources to be able to get that. And I think data in real estate sector, I would really love for the next phase for us with UACA to focus on. We're fully ready and to collaborate on bringing on the rest in the real estate sector on data and on decarbonization.
That's great.
So looking forward for announcing this together.
It's great to see that we are willing to share with competitors at the end, right? So we're willing to work together and share information. Yeah, Ricardo, let me close with you in 1 minute, if I may. All of these tools that they've been announced today, that kind of, you were touching a little bit upon on it, but how can we even make more important the role of the local and bring it to the global through these alliances for climate action? How do you see that role happening?
Yeah, I mean, all ACAs have local governments, and that is something we've been talking a lot. I mean, because at the end, I mean, the first panel where Gonzalo was, and Manuel, they land on the importance. I mean, who owns the territory? It's not the company, it's not the private sector, it's the local governments. And that is where we can land lots of action with the actual laws. And that is a place that we have to push it extremely strong in the next 6 years to really make the change.
That's great. Thank you. Before I close, I just want to say a couple of things. You've seen the value already. So everybody that's not a member, I look at the camera as well if you are watching, you should join the UACA. We want to see the number of members growing, because at the end, this is about, again, collaborating. And the more we are, the more we collaborate, and potentially we can even divide across sectors and help each other much more. The second thing I wanted to say, obviously, the On Track 2.0, I'm really looking forward to see it with all the information in there, more than what it has as a testing, but all the members putting information there. And tomorrow we have another exciting initiative, the launch of the Road 2.0, which is kind of a spin-off, I call it, of UACA, focusing on decarbonizing the road transport sector in the UAE. And it's going to be in the green zone in the UAE pavilion at 6:40 p.m. A bit late, but the advantage of being late is that you probably don't have other panels at that time already, so there's no excuse. So yeah, looking forward to see you all there. And thank you to my lovely panelists for a very interesting conversation. And to all of you, thanks.